What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Jackson. I might just become a professional wrestling content creator until football season starts back up. Power's here, and today I got for you guys that was too many todays, but it's fine. Another wrestling video. So I'm sure there was nobody wondering, but I'm going to say it anyway. The reason I didn't do a WrestleMania recap is because it was night 1 was good, but night 2 kind of sucked, and then Raw sucked, and then I found out Vince McMahon was back in charge of creative, so I decided, all right, fuck that. That's not happening. So, yeah, that's where I am with that. But as far as I'm understanding, Vince McMahon is not running NXT, so we can recap that instead, because that's what we're doing today. So I actually did watch NXT for the first time in a long time, and a big reason for that is because I watched Stand and Deliver on Saturday, and I was very impressed by what I saw, and I'm just like, shit, I need to start watching NXT. So that's what I did. I watched it, and I was very, very impressed by what I saw. It was a very solid show all around, and I'm going to go ahead and give you my recap of it starting now. Alright, so the show started off with the new NXT Women's Champion, Indy Hartwell, coming out and just doing her basic thank you promo, giving props to Roxanne Perez and all that, and then she got interrupted by Zoe Stark, and they had a promo exchange, and they got to where they were going to have a match later in the night, and Indy Hartwell accepted Zoe Stark's challenge, and they set up an NXT Women's title match for later in the night. Alright, so after that, we got the first match of the night. We got a tag team match between Channing Starks Lorenzo and Tony D'Angelo versus Pretty Deadly, and it was a pretty good match that Pretty Deadly ended up winning, and I'm just from what I've seen out of Pretty Deadly so far, I'm a pretty big fan of their gimmick. I mean, it's cool. It's like, it's different, and that's what I like about it. They were the hosts of Stand and Deliver, and that was something that really stood out to me. So I was just very, very interested in this match, and they ended up getting the victory. They are heels, so they cheated, but it was fine. They won, and it was a pretty good match, and I enjoyed it. The next match was Dijak, formerly known as Dominik Dijakovic, who I was a big fan of in the OG Black and Gold NXT, versus Odyssey Jones, who I haven't seen much of, but based off of the match he had tonight, I was very impressed by what I saw by him. They put on a good match. It is what you call big meaty men smacking meat. Those are not my words, by the way. I took those from the IWC, which I probably shouldn't, but I did. But yeah, I mean, it was just two big heavyweight guys having a good match, and Dijak is just as good as I remember him being. He jumps off his shit. He does shit that he shouldn't do. They had a good match. It was hard-hitting. It was pretty good, but Dijak ended up getting the win. It was a great match, and it was good to see Dijak wrestle and get a victory. So after they came back from commercial break, we got a backstage segment with the NXT Tag Team Champions Gallus with the newly returned Joe Coffey, and it was just a heel promo. It was exactly what you thought it was. It was just a promo of them being back, and then after that, we got one of the best matches I've seen in a minute. It was Dragon Lee versus Nathan Frazier. I had to look at my notes to see if that was his name, because I don't know too much about Nathan Frazier, but I know that he's good at wrestling. I found that out. And before the match started, Noam Dar returned with his Heritage Cup, and he cut a promo saying that he's going to start defending it, but only against people that he chooses. And it was cool to see Noam Dar back. You know, I like Noam Dar. I think he's one of the more underrated guys on the roster, so I'm glad that they brought him back to NXT. So he was ringside for this match. He didn't get involved or anything, but he was ringside for it, and let me tell you, this was a pretty good match. I was very impressed with it. Like I said, it was one of the best matches I've seen in a while. Dragon Lee and Nathan Frazier are very good in the ring. They got some good chemistry. They had a good battle, but in the end, Dragon Lee got the victory, and that was his first win in NXT because his in-ring debut was at Stand and Deliver in that huge Fatal 5-Way match for the North American Championship, which he didn't win, but he didn't get pinned, so this was basically his first one-on-one match in NXT, and he got the victory. So I see a very bright future of Dragon Lee. He's got something about him that's different. He's very good. So after that, we got a backstage segment with Wesley just talking about the Fatal 5-Way North American Championship match at Stand and Deliver. And then we got the NXT Women's title match between Indy Hartwell and Zoe Stark. And it was a decent match. It wasn't the best thing that they've ever done, but it was good for what it was. They had some nice work they did, and in the end, Indy Hartwell ended up getting the victory with a crucifix, showing that she's able to get it done, but it wasn't convincing. I don't think it's over between them two, but after the match is where it got really important. Cora Jade made a return, and she made her intentions clear that she's coming after the title. It was cool to see her come back, and I like the heel gimmick she's got going, and that was barely all there was to it. We're going to hear more about that next week, so yeah, that's really all that happened after that. So after the commercial break, we had another backstage segment with the former NXT Women's Tag Team Champions that I don't know anything about. I just know that the chick was pissed about the dude not giving her bag. And I need to watch the product to know more about that. So explain that to me down in the comments below. But after that we got a women's match between Ivy Neal and Tatum Paxley. I think that's how you say it. And I think this is a match you have to understand the story to enjoy, because I didn't understand the story. I thought it was a decent match, but I was just confused. I didn't know the story too well. They did replays of how they got there, but it was interesting to say the least. But it was a decent match. There was nothing wrong with the match. It was good for what it was, and Ivy Neal did get the victory, and then she reunited with Diamond Mine up on the ramp. So yeah, I really don't have anything else to say about that. I don't know too much about that, but it was kind of cool to see Diamond Mine get back together, because I do remember that very briefly being a thing with Roderick Strong. So yeah, it was cool to see that. So it is at this moment I'm realizing that NXT has a lot of backstage segments, but it's cool because it was an interview with Ilya Dragunov out of the commercial break, and then he got interrupted by Von Wagner, and they're going to have a match next week, and apparently Von Wagner is with Robert Stone or Mr. Stone, whatever his name is now, but I just remember Robert Stone being Robbie E on GTS Wrestling, but I'm a child, I know, but that's besides the point. I'm interested to see next week. I've been a fan of Ilya Dragunov for a long time. When he beat Gunther, or Walter at the time, to win the not the North American Championship, the NXT UK Championship, I was very, very excited about that. And just the work he does in the ring. So anytime Ilya Dragunov has a match, I'm excited to see it. And next week it's going to be a good match. But if Von Wagner loses, Robert Stone walks away. It's a whole thing. But after that, we got the NXT North American Championship match between Wesley and Axiom. And I'm a big fan of Wesley, and I became a big fan of Axiom after this match, because it was a good match. It's really all there was to it. It was two guys who are athletic having a good match. They both had their spots. They both did their thing. They're showing why, the North American Championship is a good championship in NXT. I mean, they both had a great match. They fought hard for it, and in the end, it was Wesley getting the win with a cardiac kick, which I don't know how he does, but he does, and then he retained, and he's really becoming the workhorse champion in NXT, it feels like, because he had that Fatal 5-Way at Stand and Deliver and then defended his title a few days later. So it was a very good match, and I'm glad I got to see it. But then after the match, Axiom almost got sneak attacked by Reggie or Reginald on the main roster in a mask. I'm blanking on what his name is right now. I'll probably insert it here somewhere, but he tried to sneak attack Axiom, but he got kicked in the face, and the crowd started chanting for Axiom after that. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, overall, I thought the match was great, and what happened after the match was even better. So after that, we got a video package about 3 new people debuting soon. And then it was finally time for Carmelo Hayes' championship celebration. And just watching this dude just walk down the ramp, just the way he carries himself, I can just tell he's built for the main event. He is built to be in that position. He just won the NXT title at Stand and Deliver against Braun Breaker, and he came out to have his celebration. And it was cool. I mean, him holding the title just looked perfect. He's over right now with the crowd, and I'm personally a big fan of Carmelo Hayes. So when he won the title, I was pretty excited about that. So yeah, we got to this championship celebration. He talked for a little bit about how good it felt, and then he called out Braun Breaker to show him some respect, and they had a moment where they shook hands and did all that. And then Braun Breaker raised Carmelo Hayes' hand and then clotheslined the shit out of him. I think this was a double turn because then Braun Breaker then attacked Carmelo Hayes' manager, blanking on his name, Trick Williams, I think is what it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, yeah, it was good. It was good. I think it was a double turn, and that is a perfect double turn because Braun Breaker, from what I've understood, has kind of started to fall out of the favoritism of the crowd because he's been the top guy in NXT for like a year or two now, and it was time to pass the torch on to Carmelo Hayes. But I liked the double turn. Braun Breaker really seemed like he was the heel after this. He's a monster heel. It's going to be hard for Carmelo Hayes to beat, but that just shows me that Braun Breaker's staying in NXT for a little bit longer, and this feud isn't over. I definitely see Carmelo Hayes still coming out on top in the feud, but this was a perfect way to end the night. I think we got the double turn that was needed. That needed to happen. So Carmelo Hayes is now the baby face of the feud, and Breaker is clearly the heel. And yeah, that was it for the show. I'm just got to say, well done, NXT. Whoever is in charge, I'm pretty sure it's Shawn Michaels. You're doing a great job. Keep doing what you're doing. You are doing a phenomenal job, because that was what Raw after WrestleMania should have been. Raw after Mania was terrible. It was just god-awful. But this was good. This was good storytelling. This was good television, good matches, just good everything. The show, it didn't miss. There wasn't a point in the show where I wasn't interested. So I think NXT might become my new weekly wrestling show that I watch, because if Vince McMahon's running Raw and SmackDown, I ain't watching that shit. And AEW, I like it, but it can be a little much for me sometimes. So I might just stick with NXT, and I think I might start doing weekly reviews of NXT, because it's an easy video to make, and it's something I enjoy to watch, so I might as well just start making it a video. You guys can call me the NXT guy if you want. You know, I really don't give a shit what you call me. I've been called worse things, so yeah, I'm going to start doing this more often. Just an easy way to get some videos out while football season is not happening. And even when football season starts, maybe I'll keep doing this. I don't know. I'm looking very far into the future, but if you're still watching up to this point, let me know what you think about these videos down in the comments section below. I'm going to start doing more of these. Just basically whatever show I watch, I'll make a video about if I really feel like it. And if I don't feel like it, then I won't. But, you know, I am going to try to do NXT every week, because I was very impressed with it. So, yeah. That's really all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys liked it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And turn on the bell notifications. And for everything in the description box. See you guys next time. Bye.